The subject is the future of television. Big question out there, what is television going to be in the next couple of years?
The power of television, it's obviously, I think, grown immensely over the past decade. And it's become a voice of its own. It's such a fantastic vehicle for being able to, express yourself in that world, in the world of creativity. I'm just kind of curious to see where we're going to go next.
We can't be exact about the future, but we can model it. You work out what factors there are that are going to actually determine the future. It's really understanding the factors that are incredibly important. The one thing I do know is that change is accelerating. We're in a revolution because of the speed of acceleration of change.
In the digital age, as people are having more and more control over the kinds of content they're choosing to consume, I think networks have to embrace a different role, and they have to have a brand, and people have to know why they exist, more than just networks. They have to become brands that people can depend on.
Brand extension and the future of the franchise. There is a certain amount with integrated media that you want to let the brand morph itself based on the super fan, based on the casual fan, based on the media experience, and that becomes the new brand.
Look at what Red Bull is doing now. Every brand is a channel. They make their drink, but the extension through media of what they're doing, this is owned media. They are creating it.
In our business, the hardest thing to do is to get them used to the idea that they have no control over their brand. And so if you don't have a brand awareness on the digital platform, you're risking this huge value of your brand and its value right now.
And that whole paradigm is going to shift because of the streaming. Clients saying, we advertise, but we're not getting much response because they're advertising in places that their audience isn't there. Their audience is in other places. They're not at the venue, they're not in the theaters. They're at home, but they're on devices that they're not connected to those kind of ads. They're not on the television. You've got to involve them. They have their own networks and they become influencers. They don't watch with the people in their living room anymore. They could be in their bedroom, they could be on the bus, they could be anywhere. And they're building this community that they watch something with. It's a very different world.
Media evolution is never A or B, it's always A plus B. But with the advent of IPTV, we're going to start to see the networks start to go away.
We need to kind of gravitate away from that TV and the use of the word TV. If all we're doing is putting a show on the air and tweeting about it or making a Facebook page for it, we're doing the same ignorable thing we do in a commercial space when we run a promo. And our refusal to acknowledge the fact that people are accessing content in 3 or 4 different ways, not just the one that we grew up with.
Integrated media. It can be done on all the platforms. It can be done on television, online, and on mobile, and on tablet.
Being adaptive has never been more important than it is today.
It's still the golden era of television. Society is becoming more and more virtual.
Somehow, you need to know who your audience is.
We're all moving into a multitasking world. And the reality of it is we're watching behaviors people are watching TV. And a big part of that is they're interacting with what's happening on TV. And we want to make sure that we are capturing them in the most compelling way against our content, and that's where the second screen comes in. So if you're watching our show, we want to make sure that if you are on those second devices, that you're staying connected to what we do, and that's provide compelling content.
The beginning of good content is good writing. But you got to have somebody that takes that good writing and then makes it. Then you need the system to distribute it, to figure out a way to monetize it. But in the end, it's about content. The end product is the engagement. The engagement may be the conversation, but interestingly enough, it all starts with the content. The internet is dead and it's all about the app. Because the internet is now the operating system behind the app. The app becomes the tool through which you do something.
In news and nonfiction television, what we're looking at is the experience and how do you connect one another. Maybe that's connecting a viewer to the news organization, maybe that's connecting audience members to each other. How do you drive impact? In the case of nonfiction or news information, maybe that's taking an action or driving some kind of impact.
But we're in for a huge amount of change, and the future is coming very, very fast.